Welcome to the deep dive. So you brought something interesting to our attention, this Plume Arc development. You wanted to get a clearer picture of what it actually is and, why it might matter. So that's our mission for this deep dive. Unpack Plume Arc, look at its core functions, and try to figure out its potential impact. Simple as that.
Absolutely. And right off the bat, what's striking is the plan for it to be open source and completely free, like free as in beer and free as in speech,
Yeah.
gratis and libre. That's slated for Q1 2025. And crucially, developers can self-host it.
Self-host. Okay. That level of access, it feels different from a lot of platforms out there already.
It really does.
And then there's this app store idea they're using, which, okay, not apps like on your phone, right?
No, not quite. Think of it more like a collection of specialized modules or tools, all designed to handle different kinds of tokenized assets, so it's flexible.
Right, flexible. They're calling it a full-stack tokenization engine.
Okay.
Full stack. Break that down a bit. What does that mean in this context?
Yeah, full stack here basically means it aims to cover, well, everything, all the layers. From the very beginning, like actually creating the digital token that represents an asset, all the way through to potentially helping it get traded. The App Store bit is how they make that whole stack adaptable.
Okay, adaptable. So let's get into some of these essential apps then. First one, asset tokenization. Now, this sounds like more than just making a digital twin of something. It seems heavily tied to compliance, U.S. securities laws specifically.
Exactly. That's a really key point. Tokenizing assets, especially anything that looks like a security, is complex legally. A lot of current ways to do it are pretty custom, needing lots of specific legal and tech work each time. Plume Arc's asset tokenization app seems designed to standardize some of that, provide built-in frameworks maybe to help issuers deal with U.S. securities law complexities more easily. And being modular means they can update it as rules change.
Okay, standardization and adaptability. That makes sense. Then on-ramps and off-ramps. Sounds straightforward, moving money.
Yep.
They're the bridges, essentially.
Yep.
Between, regular money, USD, and the blockchain world. If you have a token, say, representing a piece of property that earns rent in dollars, the off-ramp is how that dollar yield actually gets back to the token holders.
Right, an on-ramp.
That's how investors use their dollars to buy the tokenized asset in the first place.
Right.
Without good, compliant on-ramps and off-ramps, these tokenized assets, well, they're kind of stuck on the blockchain, aren't they? Their utility is limited.
Got it. Bridges are essential. Okay, next. Identity verification. KYC comes to mind immediately. How does that fit in?
Yeah. Know your counterparty, KYC. It's fundamental, especially with financial assets. You need regulatory compliance. You need trust. This app likely gives the tools to securely check who is who in the ecosystem, which is just vital for AML, anti-money laundering, and other rules.
Which brings us neatly to monitoring and sanctions. Sounds like the compliance police part. Sort of, yeah. It's about watching the transactions, looking for suspicious activity, making sure the platform isn't being used for, illegal stuff. It works hand in hand with the identity checks, builds a more secure environment overall.
Okay. Then primary offering and secondary trading, covering the whole life cycle.
That's the idea. Primary offering is for that initial sale of the token to investors. And secondary trading, well, that's letting those investors trade the assets between themselves later. That's key for liquidity, making these assets actually tradable.
Right, liquidity. And finally, ATS integrations. Alternative trading systems. Those are specific regulated markets.
Exactly. Regulated platforms for trading securities, but outside the big traditional exchanges sometimes. Integrating with these ATS means Plume Arc could help assets tokenized on it reach wider, established, regulated trading venues. More liquidity, more legitimacy, perhaps.
Connecting the new ecosystem with the existing infrastructure.
Precisely. And it's interesting, they're saying even now, while it's being built, issuers can actually contact them to talk about using it. So, engineering at plumenetwork.xyz, and they're apparently adding new apps and features constantly.
Okay, so pulling it all together.
Yeah.
The main takeaway seems to be Plume Arc wants to be this really complete but also flexible toolkit for tokenizing assets using this open source, free, modular app store thing, and with a big emphasis on fitting into the rules.
That sums it up nicely. Being open, free, self-hostable, that could really lower the barrier to entry for lots of different players. And the modularity means it can be tweaked for specific assets or, importantly, adapt as regulations evolve.
So here's a final thought to chew on. If you really do get an open, free, adaptable platform like this for tokenizing pretty much anything, what kind of unexpected things might that unlock? What completely new assets could become digital? And how might we interact with value differently? Something to think about. That's your deep dive for this week.